Few aircraft showcase the rapid technological advancement in aviation pre-World War II than the Bristol Blenheim. The three-seat, twin-engine light-fast bomber of the Second World War, originally conceived as a civilian project, was notably the first cantilever-winged metal monoplane to enter service with the Royal Air Force. When it was introduced in 1936, the Blenheim was faster than most contemporary fighters. Yet, just 3 years later, its initial combat performance in 1939 proved underwhelming. Nevertheless, it remained a critical component of Britain's military aviation at the onset of World War II. The genesis of the Bristol Blenheim traces back to 1934, when the Bristol Aeroplane Company unveiled a full-scale model of a twin-engine fast transport aircraft at the Paris International Air Show. This aircraft, designed by Frank Barnwell, head of Bristol's design office, was envisioned as a monoplane with all-metal internal construction and a skin of alclad sheeting. It was designed to transport 6 to 8 passengers at a speed of 290 kilometers per hour. However, suitable engines for this innovative airframe were unavailable, prompting Bristol to develop the Aquila, a 9-cylinder Star engine producing 350 horsepower. Prominent English newspaper owners, the Harmsworth brothers, played a pivotal role in the Blenheim's development. Lord Rothermere, the youngest brother and an aviation enthusiast who had served as Secretary of State for the Royal Air Force, expressed interest in acquiring a Bristol 135 capable of non-stop flights to major European cities. The Bristol 135 lacked the necessary range, leading Barnwell to modify the design. On April 27, 1934, a new project emerged featuring Bristol Mercury 6 engines producing 640 horsepower, enabling the aircraft to reach 400 kilometers per hour. This revised design retained the Bristol 135's wing, but employed a slimmer fuselage with a monocoque structure to accommodate 6 passengers behind 2 pilots, who benefited from an excellent field of vision due to the unique shape of the front fuselage. The prototype, designated Bristol 142, took its maiden flight on April 12, 1935, at Filton, piloted by lead Bristol tester, Captain Cyril Ewins. Initially equipped with 4-bladed wooden propellers, it was later fitted with Hamilton standard 3-bladed variable pitch propellers. Named Britain First by its owner, the prototype achieved a speed of 459 kilometers per hour at full load during certification tests at Martlesham Heath in June 1935, surpassing the speed of the latest RAF fighter, the Gloucester Gladiator, by 48 kilometers per hour. The impressive performance led the Air Ministry to request an evaluation of the aircraft, resulting in Lord Rothermere offering it to the Air Council. Officially taken over by the RAF in July 1935, the Bristol 142 was assigned the serial number K7557 and used for transport missions until 1942. The military adaptation of the Bristol 142 began in December 1934 when it was proposed to Coastal Command as a reconnaissance and coastal patrol aircraft. The transformation into a medium bomber, designated the Bristol 142M, involved substantial engineering modifications, proposed to the Air Ministry on July 9, 1935. The military version entailed equipping the aircraft with Aquila or Mercury engines, a bomb bay for 4 110-kilogram or 2 225-kilogram bombs, and various structural reinforcements. The modified design featured a raised wing, enlarged horizontal stabilizer, retractable rear wheel, and a bombardier station with a .303 Browning machine gun. But given the promising performance of the 142, the Air Ministry bypassed a prototype phase and issued specification B28/35 in August, leading to an order for 150 aircraft. The first production, Blenheim K7033, flew on June 25, 1936. Rapid production followed, with Bristol, Roots Securities Limited, and A.V. Rowe and Company involved in manufacturing. At the outbreak of World War II, the RAF had 13 squadrons operating Blenheim Mark Is, with 2 English-based and 11 overseas squadrons in locations such as Egypt, Aden, Iraq, India, and Singapore. To say the Mark Is were outmatched was a vast understatement. But, with 1,552 Mark Is already built and in service, thankfully the transition to the Mark IV had already begun, with 168 having entered RAF operations. The Mark IV, which Bristol designated the Type 149, was fitted with protective armour, and now powered by 2 905 horsepower Bristol Mercury 15 radial engines. It was armed with 5 303 machine guns, 1 in the port wing, plus 2 in a powered dorsal turret, and 2 remotely controlled rearward firing mounted beneath the nose. Its maximum bomb load was now increased to 1,320 pounds. But the rapid technological advancements of the late 1930s had rendered the Blenheim largely obsolete, no matter the version improvement. The aircraft had become heavier due to the addition of necessary service equipment. This weight increase, combined with the significant performance enhancements of the fighters it faced, greatly diminished the Blenheim's former speed advantage. The Blenheim's light armament was rarely sufficient to deter enemy fighters. The aircraft also proved vulnerable to anti-aircraft artillery, particularly around the rear fuselage. Although flexible, self-sealing liners had been fitted to the fuel tanks, they offered insufficient protection against the 20mm cannons carried by the Luftwaffe's Bf-109 and 110 fighters. Operationally, the Blenheim had very rare glimpses of success. Throughout the Battle of Britain, they suffered heavy casualties, but about 200 Blenheim Mark Is were converted into Mark F night fighters, equipped with an AI Mark III or Mark IV airborne interceptor radar, armed with 4 303 machine guns in a special gun pack under the fuselage. They proved quite effective until the Beaufighter superseded them in 1940. They also took on strategic low-level bombing roles with targets such as power stations and German-occupied French coastal ports. More often than not, breaching the 5% operational loss threshold, and far too often reaching near 100% casualty rates, as they succumbed to superior German forces. Additionally, the aircraft carried out anti-shipping patrols, and in one of those rare glimpses, it was a Bristol Blenheim that sunk the first German U-boat in March 1940. But the writing was on the wall for the Blenheim. In January 1941, the Air Staff deemed the aircraft's performance and armament inadequate for current operations, making way for its replacements, the Bristol Beaufighter, the Douglas A-20 Havoc, the de Havilland Mosquito, the Lockheed Hudson, and Vickers Wellington. Well, inadequate for the European theatre, that is. In the latter half of 1941, several Blenheim squadrons were flown out to Malta, many being stationed there into early 1942, before mainly being absorbed in the Western Desert air operations. Upon the outbreak of the Pacific War in December 1941, Blenheims equipped RAF squadrons in the UK and at British bases in Aden, India, British Malaya, Singapore, and the Dutch East Indies. Here they continued to operate widely in many combat roles until about 1943, despite being very easy prey for Japanese fighters. 3,982 Blenheim Mark IVs were produced. Some 3,296 in the UK, 10 aircraft that were made in Finland, plus another 676 in Canada under the name Bolingbroke. While it showed its age against contemporary aircraft, there is no doubting the heart of the Blenheim crews. They, while outclassed in technology, took to the sky against the Nazis and proved an effective stopgap while British aviation caught up. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this presentation, please leave a comment and a like. If you would like more content like this, please subscribe to the channel.